is Katie MacIntyre, and I'm your host for The Loving Cup, Elevate Your Gratitude. And we're coming to you today from the Finger Lakes One Studios in Seneca Falls. Today's Friday, October 12th, 2018, and welcome. So before I introduce my guests today, I just wanted to say that I've been thinking about them coming on the show and just really grateful for the kinds of people that they are. So these are people that take all of the things that they see in the world and they create more beauty with those things. And I'm very grateful for that gift that you give to the community. So thank you both. And let's welcome Lynn Larson and Brian Atwood from Auburn.
Thank you. I just want to say I've been looking forward to this since you asked us to come on, and it's so awesome. I put it out to the universe. I want to be on a podcast, and then 2 days later you wrote me and said you want to come on my podcast, and I was like, yes.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Right, right.
That's super.
Yeah.
I love that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So let's start by having you each introduce yourselves to our guests.
Okay, so I am a spiritual grief coach, and I am a direct sales member of the Goddess Bosses, which is an aromatherapy. It's a doTERRA aromatherapy essential oil distributorship. And so it plays really well with my grief coaching. And when I talk about grief coaching, spiritual grief coaching, I coach women that have, by choice, not by responsibility or a sense of responsibility, chosen to take a loved one through the last transitions of their life from maybe the point of diagnosis past through their transition to pure positive energy. And one of the reasons why I really support doTERRA in this is because I found the tools that work to enable these women to move through the transition and go through it with strength, clarity, energy, and more ease. And I coach them on things like, these women already know we have a soul. So I teach people that already know what their desires are. So I want to empower them with the tools that we're given, books, mentors, coaches, crystals, oils being the most positive and pure one that I've ever known is doTERRA. And it's so powerful to me, and I know it, and I want to share it because I know they work. And I know how these work because of my experience, right? And my sole purpose of being here on this earth is to help others. And the way that I can help others is by giving them the tools, helping them create a blueprint and a foundation that they can go through this process with more ease and clarity. And once they've established that foundation, then they can take that and implement it in any other part of their life. Because let's be honest, helping a loved one through that transition is one of the most powerful things that you can do. And grief is one of the most heavy and dark emotions. So if I can help you facilitate a way to get you from grief even up to neutral during that time, then you'll be able to take and transplant those tools into any situation and bring yourself up. So, my goal in life is my purpose in life is just to help others. So that's me.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Brian?
My name's Brian. I am a pastry chef and chocolatier. I've been doing these specifically in chocolate and pastry for about 6 years now. I graduated from Le Cordon Bleu. Originally it was more on the savory side, and slowly over the years I've shifted more toward pastry and chocolate due to the fact that there's a lot more creativity involved, and it's not as ephemeral, transient as making just one meal for someone at a restaurant. So it gives me a lot more creative freedom.
Beautiful.
I was gonna say, where did you go to school?
Well, I went to school, like I said, Le Cordon Bleu. Also for Chocolat, École Chocolat is where I went to school. It's out of San Francisco. That's what got me started into chocolate, and I've just been building on that ever since.
That's beautiful. So where and when did you both meet?
We met in Athens, Georgia in 2005, I think.
I think so. And then we married in 2009. We eloped.
And then you came north.
Yeah, we came north originally. So I used to be a winemaker, and I worked in Seneca Falls, or not Seneca Falls, I worked in Geneva for Red Tail Ridge for a season with Nancy Ireland. And it was during that time that I realized that as much as I love wine and making wine, that it's not my passion and it wasn't my drive. But we loved the area, and we decided to relocate to Geneva first and then moved to Seneca Falls. As you can tell, I'm the extrovert.
She lets me talk sometimes.
And we moved to Auburn, and at first it was kind of bittersweet, but I have found so much joy and more comfort in that area than any other part of.
Yeah, I think just a greater sense of community.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I live in Auburn too, and did not grow up there. Chose to make Auburn my home, and my family, we chose to make it our home, and we don't want to go anywhere else. We really love it there, so
yeah,
I'm glad you're there.
Yeah.
So let's jump in and talk about gratitude. So Brian, why don't we start with you? If you can share with me and with us something you're most grateful for from the past year.
Just in the past year, I'd say just in terms of my career, finding balance. I've been working at Del Lago Casino for the past 2 years, and last year I transferred as the sous chef of Portico by Fabio Viviani into the pastry department, just to get back into my passion, which is pastry, dessert, and bread. And I found a lot more balance and just more comfortable with what I'm doing now, because it's not as hectic. It's more refined. There's more control in it, and the scheduling itself just leaves me the opportunity to both actually have a life as a chef outside of work, and to also do what I like to do creatively with food outside of work.
That's great. And you're a morning person?
Yeah, I've always been
most pastry makers morning
Yeah,
people?
I've always been a morning person, but for a span of about 10 to 15 years, I was a
late night person.
Yeah, just because I was they call it a tournant, which is a person in the kitchen that just works about every station during a service, and it's just good to be back on that rhythm that I've always been used to growing up and before the hot side.
Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. How about for you, Lynn?
So the past year, it's a big one, because what has happened for me in the past year has led to my transition. I was a life and business coach for a very long time. That's all I did. And it wasn't until this past year that all changed, because about a year and a half ago, my father was diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma. And at that time, he allowed me to be part of his process. And from everything, helping him, empowering him to make the decision to stay in Athens while I was in New York, to flying down often, helping them downsize their house, moving them into an apartment, even towards, I was the one in the family that went down, put him into in-home hospice, was his primary caretaker, and then bringing him out of that into his transition, and then some. So I had never experienced anything so powerful, and him passing away in June. Sorry.
You don't have to apologize. This is real life.
Being asked to support somebody in that way was just the most powerful thing, and I like being able to experience it and be there and hold his hand and feed him and change him and walk him through everything that he did at the beginning of my life. Changed me in such a way that my coaching, like even my nurses and my the hospice nurses and caretakers that would come in would say, oh my God, how are you doing this? Like, you are making it look so easy, and you always have all this energy, and we know you're only going on 4 hours a day. How are you doing this? And I realized, and I was like, there's something here. I don't know the map, I don't know the blueprint, but I'm supposed to do something with this. And I knew that I was supposed to take it, and that's when I started, like, even the past few months, my dad has been helping me iron out all the details and what exactly it is that these women want me to coach them on, and how do I deliver this, and how do I make this an easy and beautiful experience for them. And being asked by my father to be that for him, it's the most life-changing experience I've ever had. And there's so much gratitude in it that I want to be able to facilitate that for women that choose that too. So
wonderful.
That's mine.
What's your dad's name?
John Larson. John W. Larson. So, like I told Brian on the drive over here, it didn't stop there. Like, the thing is after they transition, there's still, and this is why I work with spiritual people, there's still so much part of your life, and being able to help women tap into that and their tuition and their spiritual team and see how that loved one isn't gone. And just because, like, they're not in their physical body, stopping to look for them where they were and start looking for them where they are is so powerful, and they can continue to guide and coach you like my father has done through this whole program. And just by who he was and how we can connect. So that's
what a year.
Yes, it has been, and it's not even over. I'm getting ready to launch do my first launch. So after he passed in June, I've really been reflecting on the beauty of the situation and the tools that he gave me, and the tools that God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, has enabled me to collect and really put together a beautiful program that I can offer for people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we just talked about the past year. What about your whole life? Is there something that bubbles to the top when you think about your whole
definitely.
life?
Yes. So definitely, I think growing up, most of us women always have these feelings of, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy of love, I'm not worthy of happiness, I'm never going to find a spouse, all this and that. We just have we come from a huge place of lack. And as we start, if you start developing and start moving towards a sense of worthiness, then things start coming into your life. And the biggest thing that came into my life when I started beginning self-caring and self-loving myself was this man. And I never thought that I would be, like, I was like, from the mindset, I'm never going to get married. And we met when I was 39.
Yeah.
So, and he came into my life, and we have this amazing dynamic where we both support each other and nurture each other and inspire each other, and we're both on this life journey and this life path of change and becoming more and going, reaching for our higher self. And when you have these big, realization moments and your feet get wobbly and you're like, oh, this is kind of scary, and it's like, okay, we can inspire each other. He inspires me to, like, keep going forward. This is when you have to keep growing and moving, and we have this beautiful, like, journey where we're ending up at the same place, but it's totally different language, totally different events. Like, our spirituality is completely defined differently.
Yeah, very different language, very different
I'm
ways of expressing it.
And he's Christian.
Yeah, but
right?
we still have the same center, I think. It's two sides of the same coin. We're both very grounded in that center that both gives us the strength to do what we do. And both in terms of the challenges, we have the ability, since we're so very different, to really balance one another out, and especially in terms of when one has a challenge, the other usually uses her strength to help the other out.
Yeah.
And really we just lift each other up.
Keep us going.
Yeah.
And when you're going through these self-developments, like we really embarked on some big journeys in the past year. And when you go through these moments of growth, it can be scary and you can get stuck. And it's nice to have somebody be like, hey, let's go. And that's what as a coach, that's what I really like doing and helping people through those stuck periods. But he's really, you've learned a lot and come a long way.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it reminds me of like, I have this image of like going up like walls with one piece of rope. The one person helps the other up, and then the next person
rock climbing.
Yeah.
Awesome. So did you want to add anything else, Brian, about your whole life?
About your life.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much along the same lines.
Okay.
In terms of just the way we complete one another. I think it's a very rare and beautiful thing. I'm so grateful for. That's one of the things I'm just so grateful for, that we've found one another.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Athens, Georgia, were you both living there?
Yeah.
He was a university student.
Yeah, that's back when I was a classics major at the University of Georgia.
And I was corporate America.
Yeah, and
when you met, I mean, could you have envisioned that?
Yeah.
Many years later, that your life would look the way it looks.
That and when we did meet, she did say you're going to take care of me.
The very first night that we met, I told him that he was going to take care of me, and he thought take care of getting me home, and I said no, forever. But then I kind of stepped back.
No pressure, Brian.
I said, well, I guess so.
And then, we did know that we were going to spend the rest of our lives together, but we had no idea the path that life. If you would have told me 10 years ago that I would be this grounded in my spirituality, that I would be a coach, I was working corporate accounting. Like, my life is so different. I never would have saw myself as a business owner. And when I met him, he was a classics major and then became a chef.
So ancient Greek and pastries.
Yeah,
if anyone's interested.
Sounds like the making of a great cookbook.
Yeah.
It's good. All right, so I'd like you to share with the other what you're most grateful for in them, and either of you can go first. Whoever feels like going first.
You want to go first?
Sure.
Since
I'm just grateful for the fact that she is able to just push me when I need that push. And some people may say it's not really. I'm a very passive person, so sometimes I need a little more pushing. And she's very assertive, and it really helps when I can't do it on my own, and she just makes me, and I love that.
And that kind of pairs with what I love the respect that he gives me, and that he doesn't ever use those words that triggered me in most of my life, like bossy, like just domineering. I was always called these words that in a man were always admired, but in a woman, you're just. But I was just
tone it down.
Yeah, right.
How dare you loud. How dare you be strong and independent?
He's never told me to shh, and I can be loud, and
that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, he just really has embraced who I am, and it makes me feel comfortable and secure.
Awesome. That's so good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the community, and we can think about Auburn, we can think about Central New York, but if we can think about and talk about what you're most grateful for about this part of the country that you've chosen to make your home.
So I'll talk specifically about Auburn, and you can tell I'm from the South because I say Auburn.
Auburn.
I like it.
Because it really has been the place that has made the biggest impact on us. Like, we love the climate, we love the landscape, all that, but as far as Auburn as a community, it's so giving, and there's just so much Like the people are so welcoming and understanding. And I told Brian when we moved there, these women are like me. They're strong, independent, outspoken, smart, and they just they're not pushed around. And it feels good to be home with other women.
And it's just, I just think now it's like so beautiful that we live like a couple blocks over from Harriet Tubman's house.
It's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
And John Seward.
Just all of these amazingly strong people who have done so much. And it's just, I mean, I'm almost tearing up talking about it, but it's just such a beautiful thing, this area. I don't know if it's something in the water, but I really love it.
I don't know, it might be the canal. I don't know what it is, but yeah, there's the whole
it's just such a
connection of abolitionists
True
and Quakers and suffragists, and Harriet Tubman though is an awesome part of our history.
Yes, and being from the South, I think kind of it makes a really big impact on us.
And that's
like
neat,
I think
because when I grew up in Stone Mountain, Georgia, which is, God bless it, it's basically a mountain with Confederate generals carved on it, so it's just not.
It's a different kind of place.
Yeah, it's not the same.
And the monuments are different, but also we know the value, like there's a totally different.
Yeah, different dynamic.
Yeah, down there on that whole story.
It's good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes me think of just like, so if we think about Harriet Tubman and just freedom and that word, I mean, I see you both really embracing just freedom of using your gifts and freedom of occupation. And I think you have some new projects coming up, right? You're working on lots of new things.
Yeah.
So can we talk about that?
Sure. Okay, so you want to tell him what you're doing? He has something coming up.
Right now, I do have an event coming up. It's going to be what we're calling an adult trick-or-treat at the Underground Bottle Shop in Auburn.
Oh, cool.
So Rob lets us do some events there.
Halloween night.
So
he's going to sample.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing some samples, making some cat's eyes, doing some Halloween and more autumn themed in terms of flavors, like candied quince, because we know some people in the area that can get us some really good quince, which is so hard to find in a lot of places, and just fall flavors in general, and just that sense of community that I really love with the people who come out just to see what I do and to experience what I do. Because for me, I always had this vision in my head. I used to read a lot of J.R. Tolkien when I was a kid, and I remember in one of his books that there was just this quote. I think it was the joy is in the thing made and not in the possession of it. Mm-hmm. And I always think about that with food, because it's you're giving yourself to someone. You're saying, this is what I have, and this is I want you to enjoy it, and it's not about me. It's about you enjoying this, and that's what makes me happy.
He also does the Dickman's open house too. That
right after Thanksgiving.
He gets such a great, warm and welcome. Like everyone loves coming out to his events.
So it's really mostly chocolates.
Yeah, mostly that. Like, I mean, there's some occasional pastries and cookies thrown in there. Just depends on what's available at the time of year.
Sure.
And his mood.
Yeah, and my mood this year. I think I'm doing some more fun stuff in terms of chocolate decoration and more decorative things. I've found some inspiration on some chefs on.
I think too, one of the things that the big decision we stepped back from is we were having a lot of success with Backdoor Gourmet, and we were going to move it into a physical location. And about 2 months ago, after my dad passed, I said, can we just recover for 2019? And so we've put that on the back burner, and it really has just allowed us to open up and have fun with it. And so he gets to do it for fun and not a stressful, we're not pushing anything forward, we're just allowing it to flow forward.
Yeah, not treating it so much like a business. Or
having to do it. Feeling pressure to do it.
Because that changes it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has more flow now.
And creativity.
Yeah.
Like with my coaching, I don't feel I gotta have like I stepped back from it and I stopped taking clients for about 6 months, and I just have been relaxing with it, and I've been getting creative again, and we're just healing. We're taking 2019 to heal, but we're going to be very productive and very present in it. And so he's going to be doing the fun events like Dickman's and the Finger Lakes Arts Council Festival of the Arts.
Art in the Park.
Yeah, so like that. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
And are you also going to be at Art in the Park with some of your things?
You mean, okay, so there's Art in the Park that just happened, and then there's Festival of something happening in December.
Okay. I may be mixing them up.
At Perk. And it's a Finger Lakes, it's a holiday market, and yes, I will be there. I love creating jewelry using precious gemstones. This is how woo-woo I am. So I use semi-precious gemstones that actually help with your vibration and determine, like, whatever it is you want to work on, it's going to help raise your vibration so that you can allow that in. So I call it my manifestation line.
Awesome. I love it. So
this is my money maker.
You'll be selling your manifestation line? Okay. Okay. That's very good. That's super. So is there anything else that you want to share today about gratitude? Do you have a gratitude practice you want to tell us about, or advice for folks who want to kind of kick up their gratitude? Things that you would share and things that have worked for you?
I know there's the thankfulness exercises that she taught me, and we do, yeah.
So what do you do?
You want me to just
we basically starts out, we take what starts out as 17 seconds to just start naming everything in our lives that we're thankful for.
When we do it as a pair, I'll say one thing first, and then he'll say, and it can be anything from the ability to put a full tank of gas in my car. And then we just take it in 17 seconds. Your mind starts to change, but we get it up to like 3 minutes, 5 minutes. And the more you do that, then you're like, oh, yeah, when you're in a stressful state of mind, just helps release it.
Because a lot of people, they usually just,
Manifest.
It's more of a 17 seconds of want, they just seem to focus on what's lacking in their lives when they could just sometimes just open your eyes and see so much that you have, especially where we are.
Definitely.
If you can't change that fast-moving train of negative thoughts or feelings, and you have the ability, sometimes a nap helps to just reboot. The one thing that I would like to mention is that I had this very private and secret Facebook page that is aligning with the joy. And a couple days ago, I decided to make it closed, but you can see it. And it's for anyone. I decided to open it up to anyone. Anyone that is struggling with grief or knows they're going into this transition or coming out of it, or just wants to have better grounding in their life for preparing for that moment, because we all know death happens. And so I decided to go ahead and open it up. And you can find me on Facebook. My profile photo is the same as my fan page name, Lynn Louise Larson. And you can friend me, you can message me. I have the link to that group online. It's a very safe and transparent area where we have discussions that are very open and caring and supportive. And for anyone that's in a mindset of grief and is looking to accelerate and start reaching for joy again, it's just a great step to step into without having to be completely involved in the process. And then as they gain their bearings, they can start talking and communicating too. But I have that out there, so it's aligning with joy, but you can find it on my fan page. And I always post good tools in there.
Okay, that's excellent. So you can find her under Lynn Louise Larson, and you can also find Brian under Brian Atwood Gourmet and see. Just check out the photos. Beautiful, beautiful things that he creates, then that everyone's going to want to eat. I think, right? So that does bring us to the end of our time together. It goes quickly, doesn't it?
Very, very.
So thank you to Brian and to Lynn for coming and being guests on today's show. I really enjoyed hearing more about you and learning more about you. And I wish you the best 2019. I think it's going to be a great year for you.
I think so too.
We will not be back next week. We're going to have a week off, but then we'll be back at the end of October on the 26th with more guests. And stay tuned for a live event that's being scheduled at Auburn Public Theater, which details will be forthcoming. Until then, have a great day, share your gratitude, and be well.